Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, my guest is Anne Gordon. Anne Gordon has spent her entire life in the presence of dolphins and whales. She is a certified dolphin energy healer practitioner, and she loves to share the powerful healing energy, insights, wisdoms, and messages that dolphins have for us all. Stay tuned and listen to Dolphin Wisdom. Welcome to the episode featuring my guest, Anne Gordon. Anne Gordon has spent her entire life in the presence of dolphins and whales. She grew up watching orca whales while boating and living in the Pacific Northwest. She has been running her successful whale and dolphin wisdom retreats internationally since 2007. She shares the wisdom of the dolphins and whales through transformational retreats in Bimini, Hawaii, Mexico, French Polynesia, and elsewhere to spend time with and deepen your spiritual connection with the natural world. Anne Gordon is a certified dolphin energy healing practitioner who loves to share the powerful healing energy, insights, wisdom, and messages that dolphins have for her clients, and loves to empower others to connect deeply with and share the healing energy of the dolphins and whales. The dolphins and whales are a powerful presence in her life, bringing her peace, confidence, and a strong sense of unity and community at this time. She has been connecting and working with the dolphins and whales her entire life and pioneered the whale watching industry in the country of Panama. She is a retreat success coach and shares her comprehensive knowledge and experience to support others in creating and leading a successful retreat. She is dedicated to empowering others to lead the powerful retreats that they would like to and bring the wisdom of the dolphins into every aspect of their life and business. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome to Cosmic Scene Anne Gordon. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Jill. It's an honor to be here. I'm thrilled about our time together.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about the whales and dolphins. I was always such a fan of Flipper back in the day, and I did have an opportunity to swim with a dolphin, but in captivity, and that's different from what you do. You're out there in the wild, and I know my listeners would love to hear about what you do with the dolphins and whales.
Sure, yeah. Being out in the wild is amazing. And the beauty of it is that it's the entire ocean, and dolphins and whales could go anywhere. So when they choose to come right up to us in the water and connect and spend time with us, it's really powerful and thrilling. And I do that I lead whale and dolphin wisdom retreats. And I do these all over the world. And pardon the pun, but I do it to take my clients, my participants, on a journey to dive deep into connection, both in the physical, and sometimes we're on the observing, sometimes the whales, the gray whales in Mexico come right up to the boat so we can literally touch them and even kiss them. And sometimes we are in the ocean swimming with wild dolphins or even wild whales.
Wow, that could be a little intimidating for some to be swimming up next to a whale. Dolphins, they're mammalian like we are, and I think they're, maybe a little bit bigger than us, but the whales, how does that feel to be swimming alongside this majestic being?
It's amazing. We swim with humpback whales, and they're about the size of a city bus.
Wow.
So, yeah, up to 50 feet long. And so, yeah, they're huge. The first time it is quite amazing. And we usually swim in their birthing, breeding areas. And that means we're often with a mother and her calf. And the calf is between 15 to 20 feet long. It's still way bigger than we are. and, 3, 4 times our size. And so, but what you, at first, there's, oh my gosh, they're so huge. It's kind of the first survival thought that goes through. But then you see how amazingly gentle and gracious and body aware that they are. I mean, I've had them come literally within inches of me. I've had them come within inches of the boat and never touching. They know exactly where their body is, and they're always very, very gentle. And it's amazing. And a lot of times they're just equally curious about us. And there's nothing more profound than when a whale swims up to you and looks directly into your eyes. It's like you are being seen. It's like you can feel that they're literally looking deep into your soul, and they see who you truly are, maybe even more than you see who you truly are.
Very profound. Well, many say that the whales and dolphins, they're more evolved than humans, and they do have a higher consciousness, and they come from a more evolved place, and they're here on our planet to help heal the earth. So you must get to experience that firsthand, this basically evolved consciousness as you look in their eyes.
Yes, absolutely. I I know that to be true. That's what they've shared with me, and that they have been physically on this planet for 30 million years in their current form. Now, we humans, in comparison, have been here for about 250,000 years. So, a mere blip compared to their time on this earth. And they've been living in harmony and in balance with the earth. And they often share with me that they look at us like we look at a toddler. A toddler is just learning how to figure out life, and often will have, a temper tantrum or make a lot of mistakes because it doesn't know how to figure life out yet. It's not mature enough to deal with everything correctly. And so they look at the human race as a race of toddlers, and we're making a whole lot of mistakes out there, but they never get angry at us for all the horrible things we're doing to the ocean, and abuse, et cetera, et cetera. They don't look at us in anger or revenge or violence. They hold the image of us maturing and becoming more conscious as they are, just as if you're a parent looking at a toddler holding the image of that child growing up and learning how to deal better with situations.
I love that. What a wonderful description that they're holding space for human evolution to catch up. Now,
Yep.
so many questions come from what you've just said about the dolphins. First of all, for listeners who may not understand, basic question is how do you communicate with them? Pretty much it seems like it's psychic communication or you just can telepathically, but to explain that to maybe my listeners who may not be familiar with this form of communication between humans such as yourself, dolphins and whales. How does that work?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. I don't consider myself an animal communicator, so that when I'm swimming with a dolphin or whale, I'm not in my mind having a telepathic communication. I'm not asking them questions. I'm not receiving anything back from them. I'm in the moment, experiencing it just like anybody else. But for me, one, I'm a certified dolphin energy healer. And that's like any other energetic form of healing, like Reiki or anything else. But what I do is I tune in and consciously connect with the dolphins and whales, and then I just imagine myself stepping aside and becoming a clear and present channel or conduit for them to send their powerful healing energy. Now, what's interesting is I'm not somebody who can sense energy. It feels like I'm doing nothing when I'm doing that. And if somebody's sending me energy, I can't sense it, I can't feel it. However, for me, I have a very visual mind, and they send me messages and images. It's like I'm watching this beautiful movie in my mind of what they're sharing with me for my clients, or when I'm leading meditation, or when I'm doing a group energy healing. And so they share with me these powerful messages. And that's where they told me the whole thing about seeing us as toddlers. And for example, this morning, they shared with me, I was doing a private session for a client, and they shared with me this beautiful image. And my client was concerned about the healing the world and making a difference in the world, and protecting the ocean. And it's really hard when you see all these things like Japan, the nuclear plant dumping nuclear waste still into the ocean, and all the plastics. It can be really overwhelming. But what they said is that just by sitting at home and imagining, sending the intention of healing the ocean, they said that we can use the image of literally, for example, the nuclear waste pouring into the ocean, breaking that pollution, those chemicals, into their molecular parts. So the different elements like hydrogen and oxygen, for example, breaking it apart and then allowing the ocean to reassemble those those molecules into nutrients and positive energy for the ocean and all of its creatures to survive.
What
That that came through today.
That is great. It's funny. I've gotten similar advice from a pretty high teacher about how do we deal with what's happening on the planet now with this weather manipulation and the heating up of the oceans, which is not necessarily a natural, but a more man-made triggered phenomena.
Mhm.
And he said the same thing the whales just said to you, that you have to hold the image of the transformation of
Right.
this, or
Yes.
how to make this healing in some way, hold the vision of the ideal, and then apply methods. So if you do reiki, you do distant reiki at it. In my tradition, I chant
Mhm.
Sanskrit mantras, so I chant the Sanskrit to the Lord of the ocean, Lord Varuna, for the healing of the
Mhm.
ocean. But this is something
Yes.
people need to do, and people but I think we need a critical mass of people actually applying these techniques to the healing of the ocean. I'm very concerned about what's happened this summer with the heating up of the oceans down in Florida being over 100 degrees. Like this is this is like hot tub temperatures, jacuzzi temperatures for many days in a row. That can't be good. It does affect the ocean marine life, and it affects
Right.
the algae and things that grow there naturally. So I'm wondering what the dolphins and whales would have to say about all that.
Yeah. So I know obviously for the dolphins and whales, they're not as personally affected as much because they're not as location based as, say, coral or algae or small little reef fish.
Right.
Because the dolphins and whales, the whole ocean is their playground. They can easily, if the water's too hot, they can just follow the cooler currents and continue somewhere else. So that's not an issue for them personally. But yes, it's the same for the more local populations, the coral reefs, which are so vital to the health of the ocean. It is important that again we can visualize in the same way, just sending cooling energy to those areas. And also, they also say that change is normal. Change, the world adapts, and that nature adapts in amazing ways. And we may not see it right away, because what we see is, the damage, but that maybe it means that there's a shift in something even more amazing that's going to evolve as a result. So that's a possibility as well. So they don't want us to get caught up in the sadness and the grief, but always focus on there's always something that is positive and that can come out of it. So they want us to focus there. And then, of course, if we can add our energy to the healing of it and bring things back to a healthy place, then that's always important.
That is a beautiful message. And yes, people need to know that this is not a dire situation when we bring in a human consciousness for healing combined with the dolphin and whale consciousness. We have a win win. And nature
Yep.
itself is miraculous and transformative. And humans don't really understand that transformational power of nature, such as dolphins would or whales or other animal forms, which are living, they're
Mhm.
in alignment with it in ways that we aren't as humans. So maybe this is
Yep.
that shift in consciousness of human consciousness becoming more in line or aligned with nature, natural energies as they were many, many years ago, when we think of indigenous cultures.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that we need to, humans, we're so bad about needing to control everything, right? And so we need to get out of that and trust that nature's been doing this really well for a long time without us. And that we tend to really think short term, and we don't realize that we're affecting. I mean, this has been proven historically in all the things that we decide to do, right?
Right.
And for example, breaking up beaver dams to keep the streams flowing, and then all the meadows disappear and this whole ecosystem disappears. The beaver dam is important, and many species rely on that. So we need to forget about our human centric agenda for a moment and think about the entire planet agenda and what is good for the highest good of all. And if we just kind of got out of our own way and learn from nature that really, and get out of the way of thinking of lack and there's not enough and we have to harvest all of this now and hoard it. That's not nature's way. There's literally enough resources on this planet to sustain all life on the planet, but we humans tend to forget that. And the whales want us, the dolphins want us to literally, a big lesson they have is to just be in the flow of life.
Well, this is a good segue for when we come to the second half of the show, where I definitely want you to talk about this, the dolphin wisdom, going with the flow, and the other advice that comes from the dolphins. So stay tuned,
Mhm.
listeners, for this valuable information and advice from Ann Gordon, straight from the mouth of the dolphins. Have you ever wanted to learn astrology? Maybe you're feeling stuck, you don't know why. Maybe you want to understand the archetypal energies, the glyphs, the signs, the planets, and houses of astrology so you can learn: when will things get better? When will I get a good relationship? When will I find a better job? Is this a good time to buy a house, go back to school, get engaged, sell a house? All these questions can be answered by astrology. So join me for an astrology course in October through November 2023, online, Zoom, Tuesday nights. You can sign up at www.jilljardineastrology.com/101. Sign up for my astrology class because you deserve to develop your intuition and get clear guidance by knowing the secrets of the ancient art and science of astrology. Sign up at www.jilljardineastrology.com/101. See you in the celestial skies. Welcome back, listeners. My guest is Anne Gordon of Whale and Dolphin Wisdom Retreats.com. And we've been waiting to hear about dolphin wisdom. What is it? And please share their advice with our listeners.
Oh man, I could go all day with this conversation, with this topic. I mean, obviously, the first thing is that dolphins, it's impossible not to smile when you see a dolphin.
Yes.
So, right? And so they represent joy. And what they've shared with me is that joy is a choice, and it is also a permanent state. So what that means is that happiness and sadness and frustration, worry, those are fleeting states. They come and they go. But that joy can be a foundational, permanent place, and that you can actually be sad and grieving and be in joy at the same time. So let me tell you a little story to illustrate that. So for many years, I was married to this beautiful indigenous man in Panama. And he was from a tribe that still live in traditional villages deep in the rainforest. And his mother, my mother-in-law, became a very dear friend. And she was sick, but we didn't quite know what she had. We never got a diagnosis, even with the hospital. But she never was hospitalized. And so we didn't really think it was super serious. And I flew back to the U.S. I was about to lead my biggest retreat ever at the time, first time leading a retreat with 20 people in Bimini to swim with dolphins. And I had arrived in the U.S. I was attending a networking business event, and I got a phone call from my husband that his mother had died. And I didn't even believe it. I was like, wait, what? She was just a little sick. Well, it was horrible for me. Obviously, I was very sad. And in 2 days, I had to meet 20 people and lead them on this retreat. And all I wanted to do was go home and be with my husband and his family and grieve and attend the funeral, and I couldn't. So I couldn't abandon my paying clients. So the retreat started on a Sunday. I met everybody. I didn't tell or share with anybody what was going on for me, because it's not my job to burden them. They're here for their dream life experience, and I didn't want to bring them down. So, but on Tuesday was the day of the funeral, and I was speaking with my husband before the funeral, and then I had to get on the boat and go out and be with the dolphins with all my people, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. So one of the things that the dolphins have taught me is transparency. Because with dolphins, they live in complete transparency, which means that with their ability to echolocate or sonar, they can see in zero light conditions. They can even see into the bodies of each other, see into our own bodies. So what that means is not only do they see your physical state, they see your emotional state.
Wow.
Because when we're upset, right, we hold our bodies differently.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is, in the world of dolphins, there is no such thing as a secret or lie, which is huge.
That's great.
Kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's kind of scary for us humans. But I decided to be completely transparent with my group. And so I shared with them what was going on for me. And then I used it as a lesson, because the dolphins taught me, one, when emotions come up, it's important to dive deep into the emotions. And when you do, they don't last nearly as long as when we resist them and stuff them down like we humans often do. And so I shared with him what was going on. I was, shedding tears at the time. But I also told them that I was also in deep joy to be on this beautiful boat, surrounded by this gorgeous ocean, with these amazing people that were in front of me that I was speaking to, and that we were going to have an amazing day with the dolphins. So I was in joy with that, yet I was grieving the loss of my mother-in-law. And what was beautiful by my sharing that is two of the ladies on my retreat approached me afterwards and hugged me and said, "Thank you." One had lost a boyfriend, the other's father had died in recent months, and neither one had really allowed themselves to grieve. And then we had the most amazing dolphin encounter where we had 40 dolphins. Everybody got in the water. Everybody had an incredible, magical, personal encounter with the dolphins. And I hung back. I was perfectly satisfied in my grief to just observe and hold space for all of my participants. Until one dolphin came right up to me, like inches from my face, looking me direct in the eye, and then started swimming circles around me. Well, to keep eye contact with a dolphin when she's swimming circles around you, you have to spin. So this dolphin has me spinning in like 4 or 5 circles until I burst out laughing in just the sheer joy of it. And then the dolphin stopped, looked at me, and I just really felt like the dolphin was saying, "My job here is done." And then it swam off.
That's a great story. So, takeaway, dolphins are not only good healers, they're also very good therapists. They're like natural therapists.
Yes.
And the spinning is like getting all the chakras all moving and aligned. So the dolphin was working your energy body, your emotional body, your physical body, and bringing up that
Absolutely.
joy. Yeah, beautiful story.
Yes. Yes.
So they're very powerful. Their wisdom, they know things we don't. They have the transparency, but you also address that they know a lot about going with the flow. They know a lot about forgiveness, abundance, even. Can you speak to some of those
Absolutely.
attributes?
Yeah, the going with the flow is what they talk about is easily surfing through challenges. Now, when we humans are faced with a challenge, what do? We resist, we avoid, we get tense, right? We're stressed, we get upset. I have witnessed both dolphins and whales on the ocean when the ocean is calm and flat, being calm and resting. I've been in places where we were hit with a big, like huge 49s, and the waves get huge. And what do the dolphins and whales do? They don't run and hide and try and avoid the storm. They play with it. They literally use the force of these big waves to jump higher out of the water than they could when it was flat and calm ocean. Which is incredible that they literally play more when there's a storm, a challenge, and by jumping higher, it gives them a whole new perspective than they would ever have if they resisted and tried to avoid it.
Wow, amazing. I feel like they're very good at. We were talking about the ocean and purification. I feel like the dolphins and whales can help people purify their bodies as well. I don't know where that's coming from, but maybe you can speak to that too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's been many, many cases of spontaneous healings of people that are swimming with dolphins and whales. For example, chronic pain disappearing, tumors disappearing, people with fertility issues then going and being able to conceive. So absolutely, they know how to work our energetic bodies and our physical bodies in any way. They help us release blocks and fears, what no longer serves us, in the most beautiful and gentle way.
Yeah, classically, you hear these stories about the dolphins going up to women who don't even know they're pregnant and start nudging their belly because they're
Yep.
pregnant. And it's like, surprise, you're pregnant and you didn't even know it. That's it.
Yep, there's that transparency there. They can see the fetus and know that somebody's pregnant from the first day of conception.
For first day. Wow. Wow. And then you
Yep.
said that women who might have fertility issues, I'm sure
Mhm.
women and men, that they do some kind of healing there. They go home from the retreat and they conceive a child.
Exactly. It can happen.
While we're on this subject, what is the most amazing story, maybe that, or testimony that you've received from someone after they attended one of your dolphin or whale retreats?
Yeah, that's a great question. I go every year with the gray whales in Mexico, in Baja. And the gray whales represent forgiveness because they were known as the devilfish by the whalers who hunted them, because they were the only species of whales that actually fought back and defended themselves. And now, in those very same bays and lagoons where they were hunted almost to extinction, they literally are the friendliest whales on earth because they approach the boats. They swim right up to the boat. They even bring their newborn calves right up and literally push them up to the boat so that we touch them and love them and interact with them. I've even had mothers go off and take a nap and park their baby with us so we can babysit and keep baby occupied while mom rests for an hour.
The toddlers hanging
And
out with the toddlers, right?
exactly, exactly. Perfect. And so I had a woman on that retreat one year. I did not know her prior to this retreat. She was a friend of a friend. She came. I did not know her backstory. And she participated in the retreat. She was a little quiet, but she had a great time. She loved the retreat. And on the very last day of the retreat, in our closing circle, she shared with us that 7 years prior, her husband had died in a horrible car accident where the car burst into flames and her husband and the family dog could not get out. And the worst part of it was that she was 2 cars behind and saw the whole thing.
Oh, tragic.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how horrible that would be. And what she shared with us that day was that on this retreat was the first time in 7 years that she felt happy again.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the power of the whales and the dolphins.
One last question about dolphin wisdom. How do they teach abundance?
Well, actually, that's whales. The whales teach abundance. They are the largest creatures on earth. They eat the smallest, and you never see a skinny whale. So they represent abundance. And science has actually proven that when there are more whales in the ocean eating krill and fish, that there's actually more krill and fish for the whales to eat, not less.
Wow.
And how that works scientifically, very briefly, is that what happens when you eat? You gotta poop. So that the nutrients that the whales don't need, the nitrogen that they excrete, goes into the water, which is exactly what the plankton needs. So the plankton thrives on the more whale poop there is, the more plankton. The more plankton there is, the more krill, the more fish. The whole food chain thrives because of whales just being whales.
Wow. So there again, it's a natural cycle, and in nature, there is abundance.
In nature, there is abundance. And so, how we can learn from that is like, how can we create our own abundance just by being who we are truly meant to be?
Beautiful teaching, Anne. Thank you. Before we sign off here, I know you have some offerings and you actually have a free gift for our listeners. Can you tell them what that is and how they can access it?
Absolutely. Thank you. So, I have a guided meditation called Meet Your Dolphin Spirit Guide. And everybody has a dolphin spirit guide that wants one. And so in this meditation, you will meet them, you will connect with them, you will even receive a message from them. And so if you go to dolphinspiritguide.com. So
Okay.
dolphinspiritguide.com, and you just put in your name and email, and you can access, listen to, and download that meditation.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. And then again, on your website, whale and dolphin wisdom retreats.com, people can see your other offerings and how they may sign up for one of your fabulous retreats. Is there anything else that you offer? I think you offer some dolphin coaching as well to businesses or people starting their businesses.
Sure, I do Dolphin Way life and business coaching, and I also do private dolphin whale energy healing sessions, and all of that is on my website.
Beautiful. It's been so much fun to have you talk
Yes.
about dolphins on our podcast, no pun intended, and listen to this joyful, energetic that you get to experience pretty much every day of your life, right? That you live in the bliss and joy of the dolphin world. So thank you so much
Yep.
for sharing that. I can feel the energy coming through the wavelength. Thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you, Jill, for having me and for giving me this opportunity to share the wisdom of the dolphins and whales with you and your audience. It's been an honor.
Thanks again, Anne. I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring my guest, Anne Gordon of whale and dolphin wisdom retreats.com. Remember to subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending you whale and dolphin healing through the quantum field.